What's up guys, Billy here, and today we're going to be taking a long-awaited look at the DJI Goggles. These are DJI's first iteration of an FPV headset, and they did a lot of things right, but also could use some work in certain areas. I'm super pumped to do my full review on these, so hopefully this video helps you make up your mind in deciding whether or not you want to purchase these. For your viewing purposes, I've split this video up into different sections, so if you're only here for a certain part or interested in a certain part, feel free to skip ahead. These timestamps will also be available in the description. Anyway, let's get into the video. The DJI Goggles unboxing experience resembles most of the other DJI products I've looked at, and that is by no means bad. They really know how to create an unboxing experience that is fun and memorable. Opening up the box, we first see the goggles on top with all black foam surrounding it, a great contrast of colors that really makes the product pop. Underneath of the first layer of foam is the charging brick that plugs into the wall and the headband that connects to the actual goggles. We also have a box that includes smaller accessories like a micro USB cable, wire hook, and an HDMI cable. At the bottom is some paperwork and manuals. As far as the specs are concerned, here's everything that you need to know. The dimensions of the goggles attached to the headband is 13.3 inches long by 7.6 inches wide by 7.4 inches high, and the total weight is 2.19 pounds. This makes a beefy package that offers a great experience, but may weigh you down if portability is your main concern. Now let's get to the fun part, the internals. Let's begin with the screens. Just like other FPV goggles, we are dealing with two screens that are each 5 inches. The resolution of each screen is 1920 by 1080, giving you a full resolution of 3840 by 1080. Each screen also offers an 85-degree viewing angle that features a refresh rate of 60 Hz. Overall, they look great when you're wearing the goggles. As far as latency is concerned, the time varies depending on whichever drone that you are using. Here's a list I've created from the information provided on DJI's website. For reference, the Phantom 4 Pro's latency between the controller and drone is 220 milliseconds, when the Mavic's latency is anywhere between 160 and 170 milliseconds. Notice that the Mavic has less latency across the board. I'd credit that to the OcuSync transmission system. To get some of the minor details out of the way, the battery's capacity is 9,440 mAh, giving us a maximum operating time of 6 hours. The goggles also feature a gyroscope, accelerometer, and proximity sensor. The exterior design stands out in a market filled with companies racing to make the best virtual reality headset. Maybe that's because of the chunky body style, but most of DJI's products are always memorable. The goggles come in a two-piece set that easily clicks together. One thing I must note is that they need to be attached for the goggles to work, otherwise the goggles won't even turn on. This is a problem I had in the beginning, and I thought that I had a set that came fried out of the box. On both sides of the goggles, we have a small speaker that offers sound during the startup screen and also when you're watching movies through the HDMI port. The overall design is something that I have a love-hate relationship with. Some goggles have a stretchy band that are lighter and easier to carry, but this definitely gives it a cheapy feel. I like the headband that is included with this set of goggles, as the hinge easily allows you to flip them up to see, a great feature to bring you back to the real world. With the design, I figured I should also touch on comfortability, which I really think couldn't get any better. The memory foam on the headband is of a premium feel, and the thin rubber around the eyes blocks out almost all pesky outside light from disturbing you. Overall, it gives you a very comfortable fit. One thing that I've noticed is when I flip the goggles up, they are a bit top heavy. You want to make sure your goggles are fit properly so they don't go falling off of your head. As far as the buttons are concerned on this set of goggles, we really don't have that many to talk about, which is a good thing considering most of the menu selection is done through the touchpad. More on that in a few seconds. These buttons include a power button accompanied by 4 LEDs to show you the battery life remaining, as well as a back and function button. These also operate as the C2 and C1 buttons. Next to these two buttons is a knob to adjust the inner pupillary range to accommodate the width of your eyes. The second knob is located on the back of the headband to adjust to the size of your head. It also has a satisfying clicking noise that never gets old. Now, the trackpad. I think that adding this was a great move, as using buttons can sometimes feel clunky, and on top of that, would take away from the clean design that they have right now. Sometimes it's easy to accidentally use the trackpad when adjusting the goggles, but we have the ability to lock the surface with a swipe of 2 fingers to the left. More on that when we get into the menu screen. Just like the buttons, I/O is also sparse, but we have all of the necessities. On the headband is a micro USB cable for charging, accompanied by a charging status LED. I would have preferred to see USB Type-C here, but I guess micro USB works just as well. On the left side of the goggles is a micro SD card slot for downloading footage from your drone for watching, a 3.5mm headphone jack for better sound quality when watching movies, and finally an HDMI Type D port for plugging in external devices. Now that we've examined all exterior aspects of the goggles, it's time to get them set up. Upon powering on the goggles, we are prompted with a screen that asks if we want to activate with our mobile device or DJI Assistant. I chose mobile device as it just seemed a little bit easier. After that, we have a screen that reminds us wireless linking is only available with the Mavic Pro. Our next task is to link the goggles to our Mavic. All we need to do is simply push the button next to the microSD card slot and hit next on the goggles. I'll touch more on other drones like the Phantom 4 Pro in a few seconds. Once the linking is complete, we are prompted with a few tips about how to use the controller in unison with the goggles. Activation will occur next, which could take a few minutes. Finally, we are able to choose our live view format. The choices are smooth mode and HD mode. With smooth mode, the resolution would be 720p with 60 FPS, and HD mode has a resolution of 1080p with a frame rate of 30. As far as drones other than the Mavic are concerned, like the Phantom 4 series or Inspire 2, we'll need to connect our controller to the goggles via a micro USB cable. One end goes into the back of the controller, while the other end plugs into the headband on the goggles. No linking is required, but you will have this annoying cord dangling around. Another downside is the fact that you'll not be able to plug in your phone to the controller. It's either goggles or phone because of the single USB port in the rear. It's clear that these goggles were made for the Mavic, but that doesn't take away from the experience. It was still a blast to use these with the Phantom 4 Pro. Now that our goggles have been fully set up, let's take a tour of the menu. The main screen resembles the DJI Go application, showing us most of the same information, but this time geared towards the goggles. It also has a transparent overlay to help you see through it more clearly. Starting from the top left, some of the information that we can find is the status of our drone, how many satellites are connected, the connection between the drone and goggles, a lock displaying whether the touchpad is locked or unlocked, total flight time, and battery percentages for the drone as well as the goggles. In the bottom left corner is our flight telemetry, while in the bottom right corner is our camera values like ISO, shutter speed, and aperture for drones like the Phantom 4 Pro and Phantom 4 Advanced. Finally, on the right side are the menus that we can flip through to change settings and flight modes. Sliding left and right with one finger will switch us between video mode, camera mode, and finally the camera settings. Within these camera settings, the menu selection is lacking compared to what is shown through the DJI application. It is also cumbersome to have to change, so I would just recommend setting your camera settings before you take off. The next menu option shows us some of the different settings that are specific to the goggles. These settings include a general settings tab, a takeoff button, an HDMI input switcher, a playback button, and finally a dedicated live view button to switch between smooth and HD mode. Scrolling up to the third menu shows us a list of the available intelligent flight modes that can be set using the goggles. These flight modes listed are tap fly, active track, terrain follow, tripod mode, cinematic mode, and fixed wing mode. The final menu is hidden and can be accessed by swiping downwards on the trackpad with two fingers. This displays a few handy shortcuts and miscellaneous features for the goggles. These options include full screen mode, the head tracking flight feature, the head tracking gimbal feature, reset motion control for when you feel that you are lost, portrait/landscape switch, and finally gimbal forward and downward. That about wraps up the menu system on the DJI goggles. Now let's move on to some of the dedicated features for the goggles themselves. The first feature that I want to cover is head tracking gimbal. Once we enable this feature, the drone's camera and gimbal will move with our head's movement. The range of motion is limited due to the placement of the gimbal, but it will give you a lot of space to look around when you're at high altitudes. The second feature is head tracking flight, which not only moves the gimbal and camera, but also the drone. You have the ability to rotate the drone 360 degrees, which would be a pretty good feature if it actually worked properly. The roots for this feature is there, but at the moment it moves way too slowly for my liking. It struggles to keep up with fast movement, and sometimes it'll make you feel a little bit dizzy. I would skip over this feature for now until they push out an update. My overall opinion of these goggles is that they are great. Because they are made by DJI, they work best with their products. Now I'm going to be honest, this is my first pair of FPV goggles, or really any virtual reality goggles whatsoever, so I can't really pull information from other sources, but I do have to say that this experience made me addicted. There's no other way I want to fly right now except with these pair of goggles. Now, for this entire video, I have praised these goggles, but there are a few things that need some improvements. For example, towards the bottom, near the nose, I noticed some light bleed, meaning that light is getting into the goggles. It really isn't that horrible at all, but I figured that it's worth mentioning. I'd probably say that this is due to the way that you mount it to your head with the headband, because when I push them to my face, the outside world is entirely cut out. Another minor complaint that I have is the software. Navigation is a breeze with the touchpad, and making a menu system for something that is brand new like the goggles can be tough. I guess what I'm really trying to say here is I hope that in the future we get some great software updates to really optimize the experience. For now, it does get the job done. Something I love doing with the goggles is playing Xbox through the HDMI Type D port, and it's not even like I'm playing VR games. They're just regular games, and I like seeing them so close to my face. It's like I'm sitting in an IMAX theater. You can also watch movies, which is great if you're in the room with others and you don't want to disturb them. So guys, that about does it for this video. I'd like to ask for you guys' feedback on this video, as this is the first in-depth review I've done on a product where I walk through everything about it. If you could tell me what you guys liked and what you didn't like, that would be much appreciated. Also, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here, as I have been trying to upload daily, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.